I am here with a good friend of mine. I feel so humbled to have had his friendship through many years of my life. He was an incredible mentor in my life as just a teenager and walked with me through my early 20s and mid 20s. Matter of fact, it was in the parking lot of this place where I called my mommy and told her that I was in love with Mallory Minteri. That's my wife. Just a lot of memories here and a lot of amazing conversations and just an amazing influence that this guy had on my life. And so I want to kind of kick things off with 1 Timothy 1 verse 2. It's simply this: to Timothy, my true child in the faith, grace, mercy, and peace from God the Father and Christ Jesus our Lord. I want you to hear a story, and it's a story of being a Timothy and having a Paul in my life. It's an incredible story, and it's a story that had a profound impact on my life, and we share that with you.
Let's see, I started off failing out of high school in 1983, where I was a quarterback. That went over real well, being all-district quarterback, flunking out of school. So that started off my career on the right foot, not to mention breaking my leg in area championship, where the next game I would have been the starting quarterback as my senior year. So then I went and got a GED. That was really good too. That's when Ross Perot was in town and said, no pass, no fail, no pass, no play. So from there, I wanted to play college football. So I rehabbed my broken leg because we didn't really have that going on back then. At least I didn't know about it, so I rehabbed my own leg. I took my football throwing ability to Wharton County Junior College. Failed to meet the requirements there too. I was faster than your average Joe and could throw a football further than anybody in the state of Texas at that time. At Wharton, at the end of the semester, they called us all in, and I remember walking in his office and him saying, "You are a disgrace to college football and men's athletics. I don't care how fast you are, I don't care how far you think you can throw a football, you're not going to be a college quarterback. There is absolutely no way that you can play this sport. But I will tell you schools that take walk-ons and they don't cut anybody, and you can try your athletic ability there." So all I remember is telling him is a few choice words, some good cuss words back then. And I said, "You know what, you're gonna face me one day and you're gonna regret ever saying that to Jay Mondick." So then I went to Sam Houston State University, and they had a walk-on tryout, and they lined everybody up, and guess who just blew everybody's doors out the field? Me. So Sam Houston State University said, "Hey, we got a guy, we're gonna give him a scholarship, and we're gonna redshirt him, and this is gonna be our man in the future." Well, I failed out, imagine that. So then I went to Navarro Junior College. Walked on, got a full scholarship. They brought a quarterback in from Dallas, Carter, some stud, and I said, "I'm not playing this game," so I quit. Went and lived with a friend of mine in Hardin, Texas. Came back to Navarro, offered me a full scholarship, and when I went to Navarro, I had a pretty good year. I was a preseason All-American. Through my coach, Bob McElroy, I was, at that time, the highest recruited quarterback in the country. Moved to North Carolina and worked out, met a guy named Tim James, who was a center for the Buffalo Bills, and he told my parents this. He said, "Don't worry about Jay finishing up at Navarro. Once he goes through his sophomore year there, he'll be drafted. He'll be a number 1, number 2 pick draft. So let's just see what the future holds for him at Navarro." So going back to Navarro, my sophomore year, had a great year, got my girlfriend pregnant. Well, back in those days, it didn't fly like it did today. So all the big schools that were after me, all the Division I schools that you can think of, turned their back on me and said, "We don't want that. We don't want that kind of kid at this Division I football level with that pressure on him." I ended up going to a smaller school, Southwestern Oklahoma State University, where they took care of me, got me a house, got me money, got my wife at the time to go to school there. Ended up finishing playing there and had a couple of running tryouts with the Minnesota Vikings and Atlanta Falcons. It's just funny how at one time you're the cream of the crop. Troy Aikman was at that level. I was right there with him. But yet the decisions that I made were selfish and they were my own, and it changed my whole career. And I guess when I met Josh, and Josh was a great athlete, a great basketball player, there was something about Josh, obviously that he has a calling from God to lead people to Christ. There was something about Josh that just, I didn't want to see this kid go the way that I went. I didn't want to see Josh have to struggle with what I struggle with. And the decisions that I made back then, and all teenagers are going to do it, but the ramifications of that, you're going to pay for them. Driving the Corvette, weighing 260 pounds, ripped, blonde hair, blue eyes, you know, like I said, MTV Spring Break, Chippendale dancer, LeBaire dancer. I mean, man, back then I had it going on. I mean, I did. I mean, anywhere I went, you know, man, the shirt was off, the G-string was on, or whatever. I mean, I was living the dream. At least I thought I was. And you get so caught up in that, and I see that today with kids. They get so caught up in the glamour and the fame, and I wasn't even really there yet. But in my little arena and where I grew up at and where I ran the roads, man, I was the man. And I didn't want Josh to have to go through all these things that I went through, because it was a miserable, lying, lonely lifestyle. And then I meet my beautiful bride. You know, she's thinking, man, before we get married, your butt's gonna get a blood test, because there's no telling where you've been in your life. You know, there's no, you know, I'm not doing anything with you. And I pray to God every day that the steroids that I used and the lifestyle that I have doesn't catch up to me, because God has blessed me once I finally turned my life over to Him. Everything. I didn't know what I was going to do money-wise without dancing and selling steroids. And we even smuggled steroids. I even smuggled steroids across the Mexico border tied up to me. I mean, God knew I had a weakness for women. I mean, that's what I was around. That's how I made my money. And then I meet my wife. I meet Valerie. I'm living in a junkyard. I'm a dancer. I sell steroids. I live a life of lies. There's no way this girl, there's no way this is gonna work. And it's funny how He took all the bad things that I did before I got married with women and brought it to this one where it wanted to change my whole life and to be with her and to put off that old self. And I know in my heart that God put that woman, in Valerie Mondick, in my life for that reason. And it did. It changed my entire life. I had to get out of dancing. I still competed when we got married, but no more steroids. She goes, I can't do that. God put her in my life for me to finally get rid of all that. And He used that weakness that I had for a strength. And I'll never forget the night that we got married. I will never forget, and I tell people this, it was Valerie, me, and Jesus Christ. And that was a bond that I will never break. The reason God says, only one, and then when you get married, you can do it all you want. Because before that, it does not work. It causes pain and heartache. And the reason I'm saying this, because I believe I said this to Josh, and in this world, that's all it talks about, is how, I mean, we're changing our world to where it does work that way, but it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. But I'm telling you, through the grace and mercy of Jesus Christ, and you come to Him before you get married, and you say, this is the way I'm going to do it. I am not going to have sex before I get married. I am going to keep my eyes focused, and you're going to have Jesus Christ every day to help you do that. Because you think you're going to do it, it doesn't work. Because I used to do that and just go ask for forgiveness and go do it again. Until I met Valerie, until God intervened in our relationship, it changed our life. And to this day, and I'm not saying we're perfect, but to this day, when my wife walks in this gym or I see my wife, I fall in love with her all over again. And I wanted to get that across to Josh. I wanted not only to teach him how to train hard and to leave it in the gym, but in everyday life. That's why I trained him so hard, because we live in a world where we're battling evil forces we can't even see. I went from fame to shame fame, and then God blessed me with everything that I have now. I took Josh under my wing to hopefully, he didn't have to go through what I went through and to make better decisions. And obviously he did. Peace out. Love you too. Did any of that make any sense? Because I jumped around a lot. Huh? She fainted. He dropped his camera. Val's calling me if she's. You'll see her and I'll be like, don't ask.
Maybe now after hearing that story, you can understand why a 17-year-old like myself was fully engaged. And from that point on, I just wanted to learn and listen how to be a follower of Jesus and how to avoid the very things and the very traps that Jay shared with me. Such a blessing to have someone like that in my life. You know, I just want to remind you, if you're a person who has no godly community whatsoever, it is so important to seek out that community and pray for that kind of community in your life. We're easily influenced vessels, and oftentimes we can become the very people that we place around ourselves. And so if you don't have godly community, man, you need it. And begin to seek it and ask God to bring those people into your life. If you've been blessed with the opportunity to have someone walk alongside you in your life, and God has done a faithful and amazing work in your life, are you seeking someone else to pour into? Someone else to impact in the way that Jay impacted me? These are the kind of things that I hope we'll all consider. The need that we have to be mentored in our lives, but the necessity of mentoring others as well. This is what we see in this image of Paul and Timothy, preparing the next generation to walk faithfully with Jesus Christ and to experience the fullness of the grace, the mercy, and the love that He has first given us by His death and His resurrection. Praise be to God. Thank God for godly community. And I thank God for Jay and Valerie Mondig.